This might look like one of the coolest espresso makers you've ever seen, but is this hand crank mechanism just a gimmick designed to get people sharing about it on Instagram? How does the coffee actually taste, and are there any trade-offs in creating this kind of machine with this way of generating pressure to extract espresso? And how well has Muvna executed on their vision for the price they're asking for it? Muvna sent me this for a review and agreed to my conditions of having no say over editorial or even getting to see the video before it comes out. These videos take quite a lot of time and money to make, so if you want me to be able to continue to do reviews like this on my channel, you can support me by buying my book. It's a journal for coffee lovers that lets you track your recipes so you can get your shots dialed in faster and waste fewer coffee beans. I'll stick some of the reviews up on the screen now. As you can see, people who buy it really like it, so I'll leave a link for you in the description below. So obviously the main draw of this machine is the look that makes it a real conversation piece. If you've seen my reel of it on Instagram or many others' content, it's obvious that the uniqueness of the build is one of the biggest selling points of the Muvna M8 machine. The hand crank is the focus here, as well as the cool gears inside, the kind of crane-like structure above the group, and the beautiful portafilter. You've got your open boiler here where you pour in the hot water, and the group sits right under it. This is where you lock in your portafilter, and it fits all the way around at 90 degrees, which is nice because most machines don't lock into a specific place, you just get to a point of too much resistance. You have to attach this little block to the top to seal the water in the boiler, and then this little catch hand comes down and locks into it. Then when you turn the arm, the mechanism goes up and down to create the pressure with this rotary plunging movement. Now if I keep going with this rotation motion, the arm at the top just keeps going round and round, so it'll go up and down and then up again. The interesting thing is how the group works, and this will be important later. If you don't have a portafilter with coffee locked in and you pour water in the top, it just goes straight through. This kind of makes a mess, and the drip tray at the bottom is very thin and narrow. It won't hold very much water, and the way of pulling it out is almost guaranteed to spill water into the base, which takes a while to clean up. So to avoid this happening, I always use a jug of some sort whenever I'm preheating the group to stop it from making an annoying mess. To stop the water, you have to block the top, which means sealing it with the stopper thingy here. Then the air has nowhere to go, so it creates a seal that doesn't let the water out until you push it down, or you do this. The gears in the middle just look and sound cool, and all the clicky, snappy, clinky mechanics of this just make it an incredibly fun experience to use. So how's the espresso? Let me show you. Not bad. Okay. So this is a Colombian natural process coffee that tastes really, really nice. And you might have noticed that I poured hot water in there twice. That's because you really need to heat up the group. You see, this group is a big block of metal. If you pour hot water into it, you're going to see the temperature drop a lot, which is why you need to preheat it. But the problem is that because this is a thick piece of metal, it can absorb a lot of heat. So you're going to need to repeat that more than once. So by that, I mean pouring boiling water in, leaving it for a minute, then letting it out, and then preheating again, leaving it for another minute, and then letting it out before you have a chance to pull a solid shot with good temperatures. So is this a disaster? Well, not exactly, but it definitely does slow down your process of making espresso, and for lighter roasts, it's going to be very hard to get to that 94 to 96 range that I think generally tends to be better for light roast espresso. This is why the Flare 58 Plus, which I reviewed previously, has an electric heater for the group, so you don't have these massive temperature crashes when your hot water enters the group. Now, are there some advantages to this mechanism and structure for espresso? Certainly, yes. The open boiler on this machine is much bigger than that on the Flare, so while on the other machine I usually maxed out at around 35 to 50 grams depending on the coffee and grind size, I can get the Muvna to give me shots as long as I like. If I want a 1:3 ratio shot with 20 grams in and 60 grams out, no problem. And with this portafilter, I found that 20 grams is ideal as there's a lot of room at the top of the group with the basket that comes with it. And this arm mechanism is super easy to turn and maintain that 9 bars. You can even push it up to 15 bars if you want to, with the mechanism really making the pressure parts super easy. The only thing I notice when turning is that it really should come with some non-slip rubber feet. I find that sometimes the whole machine does move a tiny bit, and that can be a little bit annoying, especially if you're filming for cool B-roll. And unlike some something like the flare, the M8 doesn't have the same problem with the pressure dropping as the puck disintegrates. So as the water's feeding through the coffee and removing solubles from it, it has less structure and it starts to come apart. Now when this happens with the flare, your pressure drops off and you can't really press hard enough to maintain a high pressure like 9 bar as you could expect from a normal semi-automatic espresso machine. What this does to the coffee is reduce the extraction towards the end of the shot, which can be good as over-extraction can give you bitterness, but it can also leave your coffee tasting less punchy and vibrant. The M8 lets you either maintain or slowly level off depending on how fast you turn the hand crank, so it's much more in your control. Now the price has to be one of the things that I think will be a deciding factor for a machine like this, and the M8 is currently on Muvna's shop site for $1,500 USD, which is quite a chunk of change. It is a very different machine, and I think it's designed for an unusual person. Making an espresso on it every day honestly is quite a bit of faff, and while I have enjoyed using it, it's so much faster to use a single or dual boiler. So I can only assume that this is for people who really love the mechanical method of extracting coffee and who want to have something that goes as a statement piece in their living room, their kitchen, or their coffee bar. It really is fun to use and show off for your friends, but I just can't see myself using this for anything other than the cool factor and for Instagram reels. If you liked this video, click the like button and tell me what you think about this machine and the trend towards Instagrammable coffee gear. Thank you so much for watching, you wonderfully overcaffeinated people, and I'll see you on the next one.